Okay, let's look at this question, which I've explained in previous tests, as you can see here. So this question is quite typical. This cup is being protected by a sleeve, which is corrugated on the inside, okay, the inner side, which shows this. So explain how the corrugated inner side of the cup sleeve will prevent Lauren from scalding her finger. So this question tests your understanding about exposed surface area. Yeah, because the cup is containing hot drink, so the corrugated inner side has less surface area in contact between the fingers and the cup of hot drink. So the finger will gain less heat from the hot drink and is able to prevent her fingers from scalding. Okay. Actually, to improve your questions, right, because the corrugated inner side, if you examine the questions, so she's actually holding the outer side, right? Because the inner side is the one contact the cup. So for this question, right, I need to edit slightly by saying that the corrugated inner side less surface area in contact with the cup, right? In contact, indirect contact, maybe indirect contact. Indirect contact with the cup, with the cup of hot drink. So the sleeve will gain less heat. The sleeve will gain less heat from the hot drink. And she's able to prevent her hands from scalding. Can I make this minor change because if you examine the questions carefully, this inner side is actually contacting the cup, not contacting her fingers. Okay, initially I put, because normally they are this type of sleeves, right? The corrugated side is faces outside, but in this question, they purposely switch it inside. Okay, they switch it inside. So that's why I make a slight edit here. The corrugated inner side has less surface area in direct contact with the cup of hot drink. The sleeve will gain less heat from the hot drink, and she's able to prevent her fingers from scalding. Okay, part 2 is about double layer cup. So how can this cup keep the drink cold for a longer period of time? So firstly, you mentioned it traps a layer of air. Air is a poor conductor of heat. The cold drink in the double wall cup gain less heat from the surrounding as compared to a single wall cup. So it can keep her cold drink colder for a longer period of time. Okay, let's continue. Okay, I highly recommend you can actually do this at home to have a feel of what is happening in this question. Please take out a tub of ice cream from a freezer or something that is from a freezer. If you leave it in a kitchen or right table for about 1 to maybe 7 minutes, a short while later, maybe after about 3 minutes, you will observe a thin layer of ice forming on the object that has been taken out from the freezer. Okay, assuming that we kept in the freezer for more than 2 hours. So the object is actually sub-zero, like sub-zero means less than 0 degrees. So probably maybe your freezer is about set to a temperature of minus 12 degrees Celsius. So the surface of this type of ice cream would experience minus 12. So in your kitchen, right, there's water vapor present. So the water vapor comes into the contact, right, with the surface here. And number one, they will lose heat and condense to form water droplets. Because water vapor is water in the gas state, we can't see. So they will lose heat and condensation will happen. They form a tiny droplets of water. The next step is the tiny water droplets of water loses heat and freezes to form a thin layer of ice. So this is what is happening. So you should say that, okay, firstly, okay, the warmer water vapor from the surrounding loses heat to the packaging, okay, to the packaging and condense to form tiny water droplets. To form tiny water droplets. Second step, the tiny water droplets will lose heat further to form a thin layer of ice. Two steps. Okay, two steps. Okay, take note, you have to mention two steps because you cannot jump step. You cannot change the water vapor directly into ice. So the water vapor present in the surrounding lose heat. They must form the tiny water droplets first. Second step, the tiny water droplet loses heat to form a thin layer of ice. So this is a complete questions for this one. A similar question actually has appeared in previous year's PSLE. Yeah, they use I think frozen sausage. Yeah, I believe some of you like to eat sausages, right? So you can conduct this experiment, very simple experiment. Just take out something from your freezer. During the break time, you can do this also. So in part B, a short while later, Jimmy noticed that a thin layer of ice had disappeared. So the ice, they gain heat and melt to form tiny water droplets. Okay, if the question asks about total disappearance, right, then you put in one more step. The tiny water droplets gain heat and evaporated into water vapor in the surrounding. But this is enough for this question because they only ask the thin layer of ice. So the thin layer of ice has gained heat from the surrounding and melted to form tiny water droplets. Okay. Can I say water from the hot bun? Okay, actually the hot bun, if you make bun, you know, right, they need to make the dough, right? So the dough actually contains moisture inside. So the first step, you should say, the moisture from the hot bun gain heat and evaporated to form water vapor. Step number one. Okay. Gain heat to form water vapor. Okay. The moisture from the hot bun gain heat and evaporated to form water vapor. Step number one. Step number two. The water vapor loses heat to where? To the cooler inner side. The water vapor loses heat to the cooler inner surface of the box and condense to form tiny water droplets. And condense to form tiny water droplets. Next, the water droplets drip on the bun due to gravity. The gravitational force pull the water droplets down. Okay, so three steps. The moisture in the bun gain heat and evaporated to form the warm water vapor. Okay, the warm water vapor loses heat to the cooler inner surface of the box and condense to form water droplets. Step number three, the water droplet drip onto the bun due to gravity. So Athena, okay, right, this part. Okay, this part. Send to the group. Okay, let me see some of the answers. Kazel, as box B has more holes than box A, more warmer water vapor from the buns could escape box B than box A, correct. Thus, more water vapor from the bun in box A will come into contact with the cooler inner surface of the box A, lose heat to it, and then can, okay, cancel your answer, okay. But this, my answer is the most condensed one. Okay. This part. Most condensed. So it just mention this manner. Okay, as I mentioned here. Okay. There are lesser holes in box A for the warmer water vapor to escape. Okay, notice for PSLE question, right? When they ask you for box A, right, you must answer for box A. Don't answer for box B. Okay, because they want you to answer why the box A, right, the bun, right, is wetter than box B. Because there are some students, they can answer this way. The concept is correct. Okay, they can say that there are lesser hole in box A, right? So less water vapor can escape. But in box B, there are more holes, so more water vapor can escape. And the buns in box B are drier. Okay, because here they ask you why wetter, so you don't answer the other way around. So those who answer like the buns in box B are drier than box A, they will not get a full marks because they didn't answer to the question. Although theoretically they understand the concept, but they didn't answer the question. Oh, so you notice this difference, right? I do not know whether your teacher tell you. Any of your teacher tell you this thing? You can indicate in the chat box. Okay, what I mean, I repeat here. Because in box B, right, the buns are drier, right? Why? Because more water vapor has escaped. The buns in box A, right, is wetter, as mentioned in the question. So the question I asked you, she observed that the buns in box A were wetter than the buns in box B. Okay, so you must answer why is it wetter. Because there are some students, they answer box B is drier, they will not get the full marks. Because the question they asked them the bun in box B, they asked box A. So you need to be very careful. Okay, so this part, I hope you can understand the importance of answering specifically to the question. So this is one important things that parents and students need to take note. They need to answer according to the questions. So I repeat one more time. In this question, students are expected to explain why the buns in box A, okay, can you see? Box A, the bun in box A were wetter than the buns in box B. Because in the actual situation, there are more holes in box B, right? So more water vapor can escape. That means less water will condense. If student, they answer the buns in box B are drier, they will not get a 1 mark, they get half mark. Why? Because the question they ask you about the buns in box B, they ask you explain why the buns in box A are wetter. So this is one important thing for PSLE marking. You need to be careful. Clear? Very good. Let's continue with our discussion.